Hello everyone, Caleb Page here again. This video is going to cover my design process of how I went from nothing to a working design before I started building. So I always say, and I tell everybody that's willing to listen to me, that I learned more from the military and the military and YouTube videos than I ever did in college. There's more useful information on YouTube that people are freely giving up, much like this. That just if you listen right and you watch them, there's just so much you can learn. There's a wealth of knowledge on YouTube, and using wisely, it's an amazing tool. So that's where I started. I started on YouTube, and I watched pretty dang near every do-it-yourself sawmill construction video that I could, and even looked at other, Wood-Mizer, Norwood videos as well, and watched those guys and watched how those mills worked. No less than 100, 120 videos, probably more. And I was looking for details, especially with like Wood-Mizer and Norwood. I was looking for details because in manufacturing, no manufacturer does something just arbitrarily. They don't. They will not, because it costs them money. If a quarter-inch weld will do, they won't do a half-inch, because that half-inch means that welder's not putting a quarter-inch somewhere else. So when they design something and they have a piece of metal that's shaped funny, and you got to think, well, why'd they do that? Well, it's probably because they're trying to cut cost, and they knew they could cut cost there instead of somewhere else. So you got to look for those kind of details. A manufacturer will not do things arbitrarily. So when you're looking at a Wood-Mizer and you see a detail that sticks out to you, or look for the details, think to yourself, I wonder why Wood-Mizer did that. Well, I wonder why they did this. There's more to learn in those videos of Wood-Mizer and Norwood and those Cook Sawmill, all those manufacturers. There are reasons why they built their mill the way they did. And there's a tremendous amount to be learned just from those manufacturers. And some people might think, well, that's cheating. You're cheating by getting ideas from other manufacturers. You are fooling yourself. That is not cheating. Every manufacturer looks at other manufacturers' products. And that's how we get better together. That's how we learn. That's how we better ourselves. And besides, if you're building your own sawmill, you're not out there trying to sell the design, more than likely. You're building it for yourself. So it's not cheating. It's not, you're trying to make the mill the best you can, and you're going to the experts to learn. So it's not cheating. I think it's smart. It's smart to go and look at the experts and see what they're doing. So I also surfed a lot of manufacturers' sawmill websites. I already named a few. There's Easy Boardwalk. There's the Hudson. I can't think of some of the other ones off the top of my head, but there's a tremendous number of websites out there that you can go and look at their specs, see how they're building theirs, see what size engine they're running, wheels they're running, band blades they're running. Their websites are another baseline that you can kind of get some ideas on and how they constructed things. And that's how it helped me size my engine, the wheel construction, the size of the blade that I wanted, the general construction. And when I was looking at those videos, man, no detail, if I could see it, no detail went overlooked. I just ate them up, and I watched some videos 5 or 6 times to make sure I grabbed everything out of them I could. And like I said, I watched other people's mills, how they built it. Well, why'd they do that? Oh, well, that's a good idea. Some of the items on my mill I don't take credit for. I give credit to the people that built it before me. Man, that's simple. It's rugged. It's strong, and it's easy to build. And that's one thing that you're going to learn whenever you're building your mill. You don't get brownie points for making it difficult to build. You just don't, because the only person you're hurting is yourself. Make it easy to build. Make it simple. Use standard materials. So that way it goes together faster, it goes together easier. You don't get brownie points from your wife for building a complicated mill. And a complicated mill doesn't cut any better than a simple mill. That's the way I feel about it. Another resource that I looked at and I relied heavily on, just understanding the physics of what was going on, and that's Cook Saw. their website has, if you go over, and I think it's under articles on the right hand side of the the front page, there's some articles on there. I think there's 30 papers or so that they have written on, you know, a sawmill business, running one successfully, making it better, and then it goes into understanding the physics of what a blade is doing when it goes through the cut, understanding blade science, wheels. Man, it's a wealth of knowledge, and it's out there for free to you if you go out there and you take it. Cook Salt asked, I know in one of the articles you read, they say, if you're reading these articles and you're enjoying, we appreciate your business, but if you don't, you don't. And so if you feel like giving them business, go for it. If you don't, you don't. I gave them some business because I felt like what they were telling me was some dang good, valuable information, and I was willing to give them money for some of their components. But I strongly recommend Cook Sawmill website, their articles. Look for them. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge. So on the design side, I had the luxury of, I work at a manufacturing facility, and I'm a mechanical electrical designer. So I had a software package called SolidWorks by Dassault. It's the three-dimensional parametric modeling software that I use, but I also use two-dimensional CAD, and you could do it in two-dimensional CAD if you're familiar with it. It helped me because it allowed me to get everything in the model, check for clearance issues, kind of wrap your head around it. If you're not good with visualizing things in your head, that kind of software would be very good, but it's also a pretty steep learning curve, and there's not a free copy out there. So I think there's some other, like Tinkercad, there's some other softwares out there that would help you. But that's not the only way you could do it. Obviously, you could build as you go. You know, you start with your track and you go from there. It is possible to do that. And I could have done that. However, I felt like getting the model in SolidWorks allowed me to proof some things and make sure some things lined up and worked, and then do drawings. So that way, when I'm going out in the fab shop, I'm not wasting valuable fabrication time designing. I had already designed it in the evenings when I couldn't do anything else, and then when I was in the fab shop, my 2 or 3 hours at a time that I could do it, I was making the most use out of my time and working off of a drawing. And now there was times where I was like, oh well, actually that's not going to work. So I had to do, you know, on the fly type stuff. But for the majority, that model helped me move very quickly through the fabrication side of things. And as far as how long it took me to design it, man, I went through 4 or 5 revisions in my head of how I wanted to build the saw head and everything before I even got to a model. And then once I started working in the model, I went through 2 or 3 revisions in the model on the computer, getting it the way that I thought it should be, and laying out differently. I think I have a total of 3 months at least in design time. Of course, that's not working 8 hours a day for 3 months. That's working an hour here, 2 hours there, whenever I could squeeze in during my lunch break or whatever. But yeah, it took me about 3 months to design. And I will caution you, don't start buying material until your sawmill is designed, if you're going to do it that way. Because I jumped the gun and I ended up having to eat that material because I wasn't able to use it because I jumped on it a little too fast. But anyways, the thing that SolidWorks does on limits you is you don't get a sense of the strength of materials. On my original saw head, I built it too light, and when I tensioned it up, the dude looked like a banana. So I ended up having to build my saw head again. Just that's one drawback to SolidWorks. It just doesn't give you an idea, the touch and the feel of the material. But all in all, I was happy to have the software. I was happy to be able to use it effectively. I'm not offering drawings at this time of my model because there's a tremendous amount of time that goes into taking a model to a drawing that's legible and readable to other people. At this time, I'm not offering that just because of that amount of time that it would take for me to put this onto paper and give it out to everyone. I would rather just cover the individual items here today, give you ideas, put a seed in the back of your head, and let it grow from there, and you design it yourself, and you do your own design work. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informational, and I hope you enjoy the rest of my videos.